Hello, land flippers. How are y'all today? What does your pipeline look like this week? I mean, that can be a very convicting question. When you look once a week at your pipeline about what you are doing in your business each week. And so today I thought I would just, take a little bit of my own medicine and I would just share with you what my pipeline looks like. Okay, so I was taking a look at it just a minute ago and I was counting up. Looks like I have 15 total properties currently for sale. I have one more that's about to be listed, so a new seller contract. I have about 15 conversations going on with sellers. So these are prospective sellers that have responded to my direct mail piece. Hi, TT. And they've let me know that they might be interested in selling. So I'm doing a little bit more digging, a little bit more research on their property to make sure that my price that I offered them actually is going to hold up. So I have about 15 conversations like that going on. Hi, Kurt. Great to see you. I'm glad you like the pipeline updates. I think it's good just to be transparent. I'm out there in the dredges just like you, trying to make deals. So let's see, I have one property which seems like it will never get to closing. It's been delayed twice now by a 30-day window each time. So I still haven't closed it yet. Originally it was supposed to close in January, but first the seller is a nonprofit and they needed board approval, and then the buyer lost his funding while we were waiting for board approval, so now he has to go out and find new funding. But we have it rescheduled for early March, so hopefully that one will go through. I purchased this one for $27,000 and some change, and the contract is for $79,000 for a $52,000 gross profit. Now there's an agent involved and there are going to be some closing costs, but I nearly tripled my money with a 192% return. And the truth is, it wasn't even my money. I didn't even use my own money. So that's what it makes it a beautiful thing and a joy forever. So who am I? Some of you know, but I'm Chris Thomas. This is Land Flipping 101, and I'm showing real estate investors how I've been able to achieve at least a $35,000 average profit on every deal. And also now I'm getting them funded using my successful Land Flipping 101 blueprint. I'm helping real estate entrepreneurs achieve financial freedom, and they are finding it because I'm showing them the exact steps I've to find financial freedom. Michael Wang just told me that he started using my blueprint last October, and he's about to close on his first deal that will net $40,000 this month. Congratulations, Michael. And another person, Cole, has been working his business from Japan while he was serving in the U.S. military. Back to the States, and he's about to close on not one but two deals that I've been working on with him. You see, I use a technique called simultaneous closing. I put the property under contract to purchase with a 6-month closing period, and then my contract allows me to market it on the MLS. And when I find a buyer, I line up the closing of both of them on the same day and simultaneously close using transactional funding for just a few hours, really. I close twice because I can earn 100% return on my investment, and then my goal is to double my initial investment. So if I put in 10, I want to make at least 20, but really my goal is to earn at least 20,000 per deal. So if I put in 10, I want to sell it for at least 30 and make 20 on it, right? I just love land flipping so much because I can do the whole thing online without ever visiting the property or fixing anything. It's just unreal. It really fits the lifestyle that I was looking for. Now, I told you all the good stuff about what's going on in my business, but I want to get real with you for a second and discuss the bad stuff, because there are some bad things. Deals don't always go through, and I've learned not to count my chickens before they hatch, as they say. I've learned not to get excited about a deal until that deal has actually been funded, because so many things can and do go wrong. There are hiccups along the way, and I have found almost every deal I've bought has had some sort of a problem or an obstacle that I had to try to overcome. So really, in a lot of ways, I'm a troubleshooter and not a land flipper. I just happen to be using land as the mechanism that I troubleshoot from. So recently, okay, I had a simultaneous closing fall through, okay, because the seller ghosted me. And, what do you do in a situation like that? A man had signed our contract to sell, but it was his father's property. And he said his father was still living, but needed to go be in assisted living soon because, he was getting older. And I get a lot of people like that. So I didn't think much of it. My initial job is just send it to title and they'll work it out and tell me what I need to know. Well, fast forward a few months and we have a buyer ready to close. And I'm so excited because we were going to make like $65,000 on this deal. But all of a sudden I'm within a week of closing and the seller is nowhere to be found. Why can't I reach the son? Why can't I reach the father? I sent a very strongly worded letter. I made several phone calls, texted. Seller was nowhere. Thankfully, I was working with a title company that I deal with on a regular basis, and they understand what I'm trying to do, and they do a good job of reaching out to the seller on my behalf. And they even have extra staff that works on skip tracing, when we get to this point when we're trying to close and we can't reach someone. So I'm panicked. I'm like, well, maybe the son didn't have the right to sell the dad's property, and I made an assumption I shouldn't have made. I started second guessing. I started thinking, what did I do wrong? What T did I not cross? What I did I not dot? So I guess it was some prayer, because finally the title company said, okay, one of our attorneys was able to reach the son, and we're going to send a notary out to the dad to have him sign, the closing documents. And I'm like, this was on a Friday, so I'm like sweating bullets. So over the weekend, I'm like, okay, I feel much better now. We've heard from him. We're going to get this done. It's going to close on Monday. Great. So Monday comes, and the title company sends a mobile notary out. And the mobile notary determined that the father must have dementia because he didn't even know what the year was. So long story short, any ethical notary is not going to accept a signature for someone who doesn't know what year it is. And we got a hold of the son, and he said, you know what, I'm going to have to go get a legal conservatorship to have the authority to sign on behalf of my dad. So that's going to take another 30 days. And sadly, my buyer walked away. So I have had to relist it. So that's very sad. So hopefully I'll be able to find another buyer before the seller is ready. But even so, when the seller is ready, he's going to have to wait. Okay, so I had another one. Okay, this one is not as recent as the one I just mentioned, but another one that happened last fall. Okay, so I had a buyer, I had a seller. Actually, the seller and I were under contract for about 4 months before I came up with a buyer. So now I'm ready. I'm ready to close. The title company calls the seller and tells them they need an administrative probate. And the thing that was frustrating was that I send my deals to the title company to run title preliminarily just to make sure everything's clear. And they said everything was clear. This seller had sold other property out of this that he had inherited from his mother, and so we didn't think there would be any issues with probate, but apparently it was in a different county. It just was some paperwork, but it delayed the closing, and I lost my buyer. So I guess I want to tell you those stories as an encouragement to you. Like, don't give up. Don't worry about it not going through. Just keep working each problem, keep moving forward, keep taking action. Most importantly, keep sending mail, and it's because that is your pipeline. And you're going to have all kinds of obstacles come up against you. But the truth is, anything that you're going to be successful at is going to have obstacles. It's going to be a challenge.